Welcome to the greatest college career campus in existence. I put this in snake. Yeah. Anyways, I'm here with the boys. The cool blue one-man wrecking crew. The human calculator of numerical nomenclature. His birthday was just yesterday. Happy birthday, friend. Belated birthday. I already told you, but I'll tell you again. Because, men don't get enough affirmation from other men. I love you, baby. Not just I'm here with the mean green king of queens, the ultimate Nas fan, E to the J. And you have me, the strongest man in the universe. He who did not go to the gym yet, and I don't know if I'm gonna get the chance to. Vanguard. So, speaking of King of Queens, you guys used to watch that show? I used to love that show.
No.
It was a good show.
Yeah, it was a good show. I used to enjoy it a lot. It was like a modern Honeymooners. That's how it felt. Except, no, actually, no. The original Honeymooners, as much as people like to talk about how old television was like so sexist, when you look at the original Honeymooners, his wife was actually very like liberal. Like she would like speak at length about when he was doing something stupid. And he would kind of do the whole one of these days, Alice, like the joke that he's gonna hit her, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the whole premise was that he's never gonna actually do that. And she would sit there, she was a firebrand. He would do something dumb, she'd let him know that shit was dumb, Ralph. That was real dumb. And he would sit there and let her vent and vent and vent. He never told her to like shut the fuck up or anything. Interesting show. I used to think about that all the time when I was a kid. I was like, they act like if you went back in time, a Klansman was gonna walk out of the shadows and be like, "What you doing here, boy?" Like immediately. I was like, no, it's not how it worked. But anyways, what you guys been up to?
What have I been up to? Well, I went to dinner yesterday. I had dinner.
I thought you were gonna say, what haven't I been up to?
No.
I was like, what the fuck is that supposed to be?
No. I went to dinner yesterday. I gotta get a dentist appointment.
Where'd you go?
I have to get a dentist appointment. I didn't get
No.
I went to Red Lobster.
Red Lobster.
Standard affair. Like anytime
Good
anything
biscuits.
good ever happens, you gotta go to Red Lobster, bro. Even Beyonce went to Red Lobster.
You gotta be like, and you gotta do the dance. This is different, but you gotta do this. You gotta go.
That dance.
Red Lobster. No, it's Rock Lobster.
Yeah. But
good.
It was pretty good. It's real hard. I think it's hard to make a bad lobster. You kind of just put it in water and take it out.
What if the lobster posts a thirst trap on IG?
I plead the fifth. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't want to know what you're talking about.
You said that it's not hard to make a bad lobster.
I don't know what she's talking about. I don't want to know what he's talking about. I'm just gonna.
A lobster posting thirst traps on IG. I'm gonna make that page now. A lobster thirst trap page. It's just gonna be pictures of lobsters. I'm gonna literally name it like I'm gonna have like an OnlyFans. It's just gonna be pictures of lobster, like well cooked lobster, and like put like butter and shit on it. Would you subscribe to OnlyFans? I feel like it'd be nice. It'd look good. Like, imagine
all I know is you would subscribe.
I feel like it'd be a good thing to have those appear, like just little pictures, reminders, like ooh, and you click it, you're like ooh. It's like a nice lobster.
I feel like this is just Denny's talking to me right now. Denny's will do some shit like this.
A thirst trap page for lobster.
Bro, Denny's would definitely have thirst trap pages for their food. That's just the kind of place Denny's is.
Oh man. But anyways, what was the occasion? What drove you there?
It was my birthday.
oh yeah, I forgot. Oh,
you just said it. You just said it.
No, I don't know why I didn't make the connection that your birthday and going to Red Lobster would be connected. I don't know why. In my mind, you just went to Red Lobster for no reason.
I do be just going out to eat sometimes though. So
exactly. My mom used to do that every birthday of mine. Go to Red Lobster.
Yes, I was saying that. It's like, yo, anything ever good happens, you gotta go Red Lobster. Oh, you graduated Red Lobster. A
The
birthday
one
Red
right there,
Lobster.
right? The
Huh?
one right there at the plaza, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
right there. I've been there too often.
Yep. Yep. Man, that's nice. So did you end up getting your B-Day poon? Did you do that? You had a B-Day bash?
Why is everything always gotta be like that? Man can't just go get his lobster, bro, and that can't be enough. Just getting a lobster. I got a
I mean,
lobster, bro.
you smashed the lobster?
Why you always gotta take it there, bro?
I mean, sometimes you do smash a lobster. You got the thing and you break it, and it's so.
Nah, those are crabs.
Oh, it crabs. You're right. You're right. Damn. 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 What about you, EJ? What have you been up to? My this one strand of hair keeps sticking out. It won't. It won't stop. Anyways, keep going. What have you been up to?
I just went to the doctor's today.
Mm.
Got a physical done.
How long you
Something
got to
light.
live, bro?
I don't know, man. Doc says I'm on borrowed time, so
Ah, jeez.
gotta
Yeah,
make the most of it.
I'll be,
Did one of the
But
other patients start dancing, just celebrating?
that would have been funny if they did. Um, but yeah, went to the doctor's, then got some errands done. Always wait to do it on the weekend, so been pretty calm today. And then probably gonna go later to watch the UFC fight with the guys. So,
There's fights in the UFC.
plenty of
That's crazy.
them.
Someone should fix that. Tired of seeing this UFC on UFC
Oh
violence, bro.
man.
UFC on what?
UFC on UFC violence.
UFC on UFC violence. Jeez. No, I mean those fights are crazy, bro. Those fights be getting crazy. People like their whole fucking what do you call this part of your their brow will get sliced open. You see the blood gushing. You know, there's something that we were talking about yesterday, EJ, that just reminded me because we mentioned UFC. Remember when you were saying, telling me the story about a friend that wanted to go pro, and then you were like, you know, there are levels to this stuff. I remember Kimbo Slice. I remember when he you know he was like a street fighting champion, and he goes to UFC and just does abysmally, abysmally. Like he just did not do as well against actual trained fighters who knew what they were doing. I don't know if you guys remember that when that
I have
happened.
no idea who that is.
You don't know who Kimbo Slice is?
No.
Damn, the large black eye, beard, heavy set, was all in all these street fights back in the day. Yeah. Whatever. You guys are uncultured. Anyways,
Oh, this guy.
yeah. What have I been up to? What the real question is, what haven't I been up to? Or perhaps the real question is, when have I been up to? No, I'm joking. Anyways, nothing really. I woke up. I've been fasting, so did a 16-hour thing. Decided I'm going to do that regularly now. Just do intermittent fasting because why not? It's good for your health. Um,
Great ways to see.
yeah. Great way to stay in shape. Yeah. Uh, I watched a movie. Got inspired to watch a movie because of the topic that we're gonna talk about today. Why the fuck did Crunchyroll just open up on my phone?
It heard. It heard you say you trying to watch a movie.
Yeah, that's weird. It just opened up. Anyways, yeah, the topic that we talked about today it was so jarring to me that it made me watch a movie about that topic. So we're gonna get into that. Yeah, so you know why not? Not like we have anything else to do. I'll just get into that. You know, you guys already yammered on about your boring, uneventful days that I pretended to care about just to get you to talk. So we've already gone past that. We can we can move on. Anyways, we here in materials. There's a trailer. I want you, Ray Tron, to play this trailer for the audience and for EJ, because this trailer was very interesting to me.
It's very interesting indeed, because like
Yeah, this trailer was very interesting. That's the best. That's all I'm gonna say about it right now.
it's like
Yeah,
yo, whoa,
well,
what's going on? Like
yeah,
what's
okay.
going on? That's all I can say.
Here is the trailer for The Blackening. Yeah.
You gotta adjust the ratio. There it is. Oh,
reunion
I
about
don't
to
even like the
crack.
name,
We got
though.
the whole crew back.
Really, bitch? A cabin in the woods?
Now let's get it all in perspective for all y'all enjoyment.
You still a slave to the white man?
Y'all gonna start calling my wife the white man, all right?
Newness, here's the anthem. Put your hand up that you shoot with. Count your
What
loot
we
with.
do on Juneteenth.
Oh, hell no.
Where are you going?
Look for the fuse box. What kind of house is this? No, thank you.
The blackening?
Whoa! Jim Crow Monopoly.
Shit probably runs on racism.
Pick a card and save Morgan.
What do you mean, save Morgan?
Refuse to play, and she dies.
I think we have to play the game. In your predicament, the black character is always the first to die. I will spare your lives if you sacrifice the person you deem the blackest.
The blackest?
Nobody should judge anybody in here, bro.
You have 2 minutes to decide.
Shanika, she say nigga the most.
Nigga.
See?
Wait.
Y'all can't pick me. I'm gay.
Oh, Clifton. Yeah,
I can prove I'm not the blackest.
prove it.
I've never seen Friday. I voted for Trump.
What?
Twice.
Big money, playboy, your time's up.
We need a plan.
I'm saying, don't you dare.
Don't say this dumb shit.
We have to split up.
Your time has run out. It's time to die.
There's a crazy person out here hunting us. You got Rosa Parks on your shirt, right? Would she be sitting down right now?
I mean, that's exactly what she did.
Made you look. Made you look.
Why black women gotta save everyone all the damn time?
Made you look.
All right.
Yo, stop playing.
I got a gun.
That's too DMX. What are you doing?
Okay. That was a trailer. What do you guys think of that movie? What is it?
Interesting trailer, man. Makes me want to go watch the movie. Especially that song they played in the background. Whoever made that song, gosh, they're talented.
So that movie, that trailer made you interested in the film. You think it's gonna be a good film there?
Yeah. I feel like I'll enjoy it.
I don't feel like your answer doesn't sound genuine. Your answer doesn't sound genuine at all. Your answer does not sound genuine whatsoever. Oh my god. When I saw that shit, I was like, so when I first saw The Blackening, I thought it was gonna be like some stupid skit or something. I press it. This is an adaptation of a skit, apparently. They turned it into a movie.
We have to turn skits into movies now? Come on.
Yeah, they do that shit a lot, actually. And it never works. Every time they've tried this, it's failed. There are mad Saturday Night Live characters who they tried to turn into like movie characters, and it never works every time.
That movie feels like it'd be a skit on Saturday Night Live.
Exactly.
Like, like they would really ham it up to show you like this is the point we're trying to make.
Yes. And so like as I'm watching it, to me, like I said, the thing gave me minstrel show vibes, like hardcore minstrel show. It's like, oh, we blacking it up, black. Like that's what it felt like.
Question
like
number one. Game number one. Prove who's the blackest. And then now you got a bunch of black people pointing fingers at each other saying stereotypes.
Yes. And then like I guess the point is supposed to be ironic and funny. It was like, and then their one, I guess he's supposed to be the not black guy. I guess he's the Oreo, and he's this ultimate caricature. He's the Gordon Good brother, I guess, which is really lame. And it's like the thing is, like I said, it gave me huge minstrel show vibes. And the other thing that I thought was really weird about it is like it's like even the Juneteenth reference in the beginning of the trailer was really silly and weird.
Did they go on vacation for Juneteenth?
I guess.
They got off?
Then, I don't know. But then the thing is the trailer, right? It's like, oh, it's a trailer starring black characters, so we got to put some rap in there because that's what the niggas like. Let's play nigga music.
Director is Tim Story. Right?
That was a good song. I don't know who made it. That was a good song.
It is a good
song.
Who
made it.
Sounds like it's LP. I think it's LP. That's what it sounds like to me. LP is not black though. Anyways,
He's white.
yeah.
Wait, you really don't know who it is?
No, I don't. I actually don't.
It was written
I was
by
being
Tracy
sarcastic.
Oliver and Dwayne Perkins. Yes.
I thought it's not LP.
No, the movie is written by
Sounds
those
like it.
people.
Sounds just like LP.
Who
But
made
we're
the
talking
song?
about a rapper. I'm not
It's
sure.
a Nas song that came out
Oh,
mad long ago.
oh, you're right. That is Nas. Oh God, actually, dude. I didn't ever paid attention to the song. I was too busy distracted by the fucking trailer because I thought it was really bad.
Oh, that is so.
But that's the other thing. I didn't think the trailer was very funny. That was the first thing. I didn't think it was the one thing.
Man.
The one thing I think that kind of made me chuckle was the DMX joke at the very end of the movie.
Yeah, same. I laughed at that. I was
Very
like,
end
that's
of
two
the trailer.
DMXs. I
I
chuckled
was
at
like, oh,
that.
that's nice, right?
Respect to LP, but goddamn, that
LP
was
is good. You gotta admit that sound. If you're just giving a cursory listen, you're not actually paying attention. That could sound like LP. That could sound like LP. LP and Nas have similar
I
styles.
don't know about that one, Coach. I don't know about.
Anyways, like I said, the trailer gave me very minstrel show kind of vibes because it's like, we got to relate to the black people by and it's written by a black person, which is I knew it. I could tell just by the way the trailer was written and
Told you.
the
Yep.
humor.
It was
that it
directed
was
by a
cool.
black guy too.
But you got to remember the thing with these with Hollywood black people, and I think I made this point before. I remember saying to Ray about the new bourgeoisie, right? So these black people very often when they start to make a certain amount of money and that kind of stuff, they become informed of certain social issues. They literally come to perceive themselves as cut from a different cloth. They believe they are different from the rabble, the typical black people. But at the same time, they've internalized a lot of this social justice message. So they have the correct beliefs and correct ideologies. But like they'll often meet like black people who, let's say, are more that you would describe as ghetto, and like all their supposed like social justice platform will go out the window. Suddenly you'll hear them say the craziest, most blatantly classist shit. And it's like, I thought you were supposed to be this like black power kind of person. Now you're saying crazy stuff. Like the girl I work with, Jesus, she says things that you would consider very problematic all the time. And she's supposedly this like liberal who's always acting like she's supportive of all these social justice stuff. And that's part of the problem. It's like black people don't even know how to write for black people these days. Like that's because the black people writing for you, they're not writing for black people in terms of like for example, it's like the fact is they're trying to write for black people. Like for example, when I came up with the idea for that all-time adventure series where I was like, I'm gonna write these black characters and it's gonna be like pulp adventure. I didn't go in there and start saying, okay, so now what can I do to relate to black? No, I was just like, I'm gonna write a cool story and I put some African mythology in one. Another one was just like a very urban kind of like a detective story. And that's all I did. I just, channeled things I was interested in and put them in the story. But when these kind of writers write for black people, they're in their minds, they are writing for people outside of themselves. They themselves see themselves as a different kind of black person. So they're writing for the other kinds of black people that that exist. So that's why, there'll be like black caricatures. Like in that movie, it wasn't so bad. But like Aquafina got accused of this with the black scent kind of thing.
Yep.
Black performers will literally do black scent. They'll do a black scent. They won't talk that way, but when they perform, they will ham up their accent and try to sound as like urban and country as they can. Because I don't know, man. It's like they're preaching to a caricature. So like that's the feeling I get from this movie, that Hollywood doesn't know how to produce black entertainment unless it's minstrel show stuff, trying to get the masses to be like, hey, look, black people are cool and funny.
I get it's a comedy, right? But like,
yeah,
how is this going to be a whole thing about how black people act, but they go to a cabin in the woods?
Yeah, how is it going to be why would you a horror movie? The whole plot of the horror movie is black. It's like, oh, black
people in your situation would die first, nigga. What?
It's a black horror movie. Ooh.
Black horror movie can't exist because I would have just left. I'm not playing this game.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. He's like, I'm sorry. Homegirl. Sorry, homegirl. I'm not playing this game. What if she's gonna kill everyone? Kill everyone to save one? Nah, come on. That's not even making math now.
That's the other thing.
Like, it's not even making no sense. Even like, and I know we were talking about how things don't gotta make sense, but I was like, what are we doing here?
The killer looked lame too. The killer looked and sounded lame.
He was just in blackface, but they didn't want to put anyone in blackface, so they got a really bad mask.
Yeah, and I guess that's the point. And I think it looks like they're trying to make it seem like it's a white person. I was saying the only way I could see something like this being funny and selling
black guy.
I was saying the way I think it's gonna be a white person.
It has to be a black guy though. How can you judge who's the blackest if he's not black himself?
Well, because that's the point. The point is supposed to be that white people. I'm telling you, when this movie comes out, I guarantee the ultimate point of the movie, and is unless they're more aware than I'm giving them credit for. The ultimate point of the movie is going to be that white people force stereotypes and standards onto black people. So it's going to turn out to be a white person, and they're the ones.
How would he even recognize that black people always die first?
I mean, it's a common meme.
That they don't notice. Come on, man. You know they don't notice.
I don't know about that. They're the ones who I think came up with that stupid joke. But anyways, like I said, why can't they just make an interesting horror film with black people in it? Like, why can't that
This isn't a horror film. It's comedy.
It's trying to go for horror though.
Is it? Because it didn't seem scary at all.
Horror comedy, yes, horror comedy. It's trying to be a horror comedy, which is one of the hardest genres to master.
It gives me that scary movie parody type.
Yeah.
Seeing the one that they did on those.
A lot of people were saying that. But a scary movie parody type without any of the comedy or energy in it. It was just, it's like scary movie. If I don't even know how to describe what kind of scary movie this would be. A very lukewarm.
I mean, isn't it a parody of Saw? Because Saw has that with the TV and issuing them challenges to do. Something like that.
I mean, like Saw has the TV, but like the Saw challenges are more Final Destination type. Like they are not social deduction games. It's like, get in this tub and kill yourself.
And often parodies are just an excuse for people to be unoriginal. They'll say they're parodying something, but really what they're doing is stealing other story elements. They just throw a little humor in there, and they're like, "Oh, dude, it's a parody. It's a parody." It's like, no, you just couldn't come.
Actually, it's a satire. Get it right?
Oh, geez. No, satire is different.
Yeah,
satire
I was just messing with you.
Yeah, but anyways,
So we watching this movie, guys? Front row seats, red carpet. We gotta go to the red carpet opening.
I saw that trailer and I was like, I wasn't gonna finish it. The only reason I finished it was because I expected to go into the comments and to see black people pointing out that this movie was weird, and that it seemed to be a movie built on marketing to black people, which is dumb, right? That it wasn't genuine black fiction, right? I was hoping to see comments like that. That is just not a good movie. Nope. All those black people in there was like, "Oh yeah, oh I'm so excited." I was like, "Oh Jesus Christ, you guys excited for this garbage?" I was like, "This is insane." I was like, "Damn, are they right about us? Are we as black people? Are we so retarded? Was I wrong the entire time? Were the white people right? Were they correct? When they sit out there pumping out all the violence in their gangster rap and music, are they marketing to the correct audience?" That's what I was thinking in my head. I was like, I had like a fucking crisis, a mental crisis for a minute, because these people are fucking excited, and the few black people that were pointing out that this is weird, a lot of white people were pointing out, isn't that hilarious? White people were the ones saying it's kind of weird how this movie seems to be built on stereotypes, right? All the black people are celebrating it. They're like, "Oh, this is gonna be so funny. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be sitting in the seats," right? And using all the typical. You know how when people get on social media, they develop a black scent? You know what I'm talking about, Ray?
Yeah.
Where they'll use phrases and words. You'll know this person, but when you see them on social media, they typing like as if they're from the urban. They're urban. Yeah. What'd you say?
They typing like.
Yeah. That's how they talk. Even one of the girls I know, she's very proper sounding, but she'll keep dipping into the urban words like you ain't shit. But she sounds weird when she says it because it's not her. You know, like she's only doing it now because it's trendy.
But you ain't
Like I
shit.
said, yeah, and it's like, and I think that's the problem with these kind of things. When these kind of black people try to write for black people, the reason why they don't know how to do it is because they've spent so much time trying to run away from their identity, trying to be as far away from that stereotypical black as they can, right? That when now it's time to write for black people, they're just like, damn, how the fuck do I even do that? All my friends are white. I guess I'll just put a
You know,
bunch of stereotypes.
I think I would have enjoyed the premise more if it was like they keep trying to start scary movie scenarios and everyone just keeps leaving. They're like, nope. Like it's just constantly like some force is trying to get them into this scary movie genre, and they're just like, I'm not with this shit. This isn't happening.
Be a good example of self-awareness, like a meta fiction. That would be like a meta film, like a very meta kind of film. But yeah, no, it's like I feel like fiction in general. We're in a new age of minstrel, in my opinion. Like a lot of fiction, I feel like is just taking black people, using them to push certain agendas and ideas, really hamming up the black aspect of it, and then those black people are cast away.
So you're mad that Tinkerbell's black then?
Huh?
You haven't seen Tinkerbell's black?
Oh yeah, I saw everyone hates that trailer apparently. I didn't watch it.
I have not seen it. Oh, an error occurred? What's going on?
Uh-oh. Are we not streaming anymore?
I don't know. Let me refresh this. And we're fine. I don't.
Oh well. Yeah, I mean, I don't. Tinkerbell, honestly, I don't give a fuck about those stupid Disney movies, man. I don't give a fuck what's going on. They're gonna do what they.
Tinkerbell's black, bro.
Tinkerbell being black, yeah, sure, that's fucking retarded. Why would you do that? If you're supposed to be the typical Disney version of the character,
because you can't make Wendy black. So you gotta make Tinkerbell black.
Yeah, like who fucking cares? But even if you were, why keep trying to change these characters? Like it's one thing, right, to change the character's skin tone and they still resemble the character. But they will change the character's skin tone, everything about the character. Character will look nothing like the original character anymore. I was like, okay, so like, how is this the same character? How is it the same character? They'll even change the way the character acts. The character, like, fucking, I guarantee the Little Mermaid, she's gonna be like this. She's probably gonna be way more sassy and stuff.
I really don't think I cannot. No, I don't think see them doing that. I don't see them doing that.
I sure as hell hope not, but I would not be surprised.
Oh man, no, they can't do that. Because it's a whole different movie. Ariel sassy, because sassy Ariel could not go up to Ursula and take that deal, because it would go against her character.
They don't give a fuck. They don't write these movies with consistency in mind. They just churn out product. Consumer will consume product. That's what it was. The consumer, as people say.
Consumer.
It's like, yeah, they'll consume product, and that's the idea. It's like if we just keep pumping out generic black stereotype nonsense, black people will they'll celebrate. They'll be so happy. But they won't support these products. That's what happens more often than not. Like this blackening movie, it probably will flop, even though all those black people in the comments are pretending they're going to go see it. It will probably flop. And then once it flops, there will be a bunch of articles that come out saying that it flopped because of racism and because white people are racist and they didn't go see the movie. Gary fucking T. You're going to see. That's what happened with Lightyear. Lightyear flops is because people are anti-trans. Yeah, they're homophobic. No, sorry, I forgot. they're homophobic. And remember with the Charlie's Angels movie when that happened?
No, I don't remember. I didn't see that movie. I didn't hear anything about that movie.
Well, when the Charlie's Angels reboot came out, and before that the Ghostbusters one, and they were going hard for like the whole socially inclusive thing. What do you? So I'm just remembering a joke from a long time ago. But I remember when both of those movies flopped. There were all these like media pieces about how sexism was what killed those movies. I was like, or they just produced a bad product. Like it's possible that it was just a bad
Yeah,
product.
I didn't watch the Charlie's Angels movies, but I watched a review of it, and they were like, yeah, all the angels were just the same person. So it was weird.
And Ghostbusters, it just wasn't
I heard
funny.
it just wasn't funny. Yeah, I heard that it just
Yeah.
wasn't funny.
It just wasn't a funny movie. It was trying too hard.
I didn't watch it. I didn't watch the originals, so I know Prison's gonna watch in the reboot.
You didn't watch the Ghostbuster movie?
No, I did not. I didn't watch the Ghostbusters movies.
You didn't watch Ghostbusters?
No, I didn't.
You're a liar. You've seen Ghostbusters
I have
once
not
or
seen the
twice.
Ghostbusters movies.
You've at least seen clips. There's no way you haven't
I've seen clips of it, sure, but I haven't seen the movie. Like,
how could you not have watched Ghostbusters? That's a
easily.
great movie.
Like it wasn't. It's not like it was like in theaters. So my parents didn't bring it to me, right? So like I was not brought to see it. And then when I was old enough to like to watch movies, I don't be sitting here watching movies.
Uncultured swine.
Uncultured swine, man. Don't talk to me.
Ghostbusters 2, man. Don't even. The only culture you got is you watch like fucking anime porn. Like don't even.
That's crazy.
Ghostbusters 2, you don't gotta watch, but giving one at least a shot.
It's not even like I said I would never watch it. I just said I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm recommending.
Nah, I don't want to watch it now because of the way you treated me. Like, fuck you.
Ghostbusters 2 is all right. It's kind of weird. It's a weird movie, but it's all right. It's not terrible. People act like that shit's the worst thing on the planet, but it isn't that bad.
Man, if you like it, it probably is bad.
I don't like Ghostbusters.
Nah, see, now you're trying too hard to convince me that it's not that bad.
Now it's like Black Adam. I didn't like that movie, but I didn't hate it either. I was like, okay, this is a movie. Same thing with that trailer. I was like, this is a trailer. But
this does qualify as a trailer.
Yeah. What about you, EJ? You have any thoughts on this matter?
Yeah, I kind of disagree with you on this movie about it being the minstrel show type. I mean, like there's stereotypes in it, and I guess the caricature of the characters, but I feel like it's all under the comedy genre. Like certain stereotypes get used, and that's just how it is. I don't think it's really trying to market itself to be anything else other than a comedy movie. You could say it's doing a poor job at that, but I think even some of the references during the trailer I thought to be kind of funny. The DMX Friday one, like they're like I like when comedies do those kind of references, because even though they're stereotypical, I feel like it also gives someone a chance to like look at that reference. Like I found out about a lot of pop culture references from Family Guy growing up. So and these were like, obviously not everybody that's black knows who DMX is or listens to DMX or watch Friday clearly, but it was to sit here and say it wasn't like those weren't big things in the black community, it would be a lie. They were. So I didn't really get the sense of it that you got, but
or is that just what they want you to think? Like, sure, Friday and these movies are good and DMX is good, right? But then when you look at it, right, black experience is kind of shoved into this one.
It doesn't define the black community,
I know,
and that's the problem. But
yeah, that's the issue. Because like even like sorry, go for it.
No, just like you can't say, oh well, you saw Friday that makes you black, or you listen to a couple of that makes you black. Obviously, it's not that black and white, but I just think that movies have a way of trying to bring the comedy out, and that's the route that they chose to go with this. I think it's kind of goofy that they want to make it like some horror kind of movie with it. I probably wouldn't even watch this movie, like if it was like presented to me, like somebody was like, oh hey, go watch this. But if like I'm with a couple of the guys and there's nothing to watch, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's that bad of a movie in terms of like parading these black characters around and trying to make them look goofy. I wouldn't take it that far.
Yeah, the reason why I see it that way is because it's just, I feel like there is a point that they're trying to make, and I mean, they're probably gonna do this in the movie. Like the point is gonna be about like I guess well, I mean, I'd have to make an assumption here, so I'm not even going to do that. But just like the very weird, like racialized dialogue and like social dialogue, like when he's talking to his friend, and his friend is like, "You still working for the white man or some shit or
You're
something
still a
like that?" He's like,
slave to the white man.
"Still a slave to the white man." He's like, "Stop calling my wife that." What friend on the entire planet would say that to his friend about his wife? And for him to just like chuckle it off like it's funny like that, like, man, stop calling my wife. Stop saying that I'm a slave to my wife. Ha 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 ha. What the fuck? Like that's some weird shit. But you know, that kind of stuff I guess is funny because I guess they think that's how all black people act and perceive. See, I don't
See
like I just
that? See, but see, that's where I feel like you kind of making leaps because I don't think they're trying to send that message that all black people are a certain way. I think a lot of I don't know the upbringing of these people, but a lot of them, I mean, all of them are black. They probably grew up. Some of them probably grew up in the hood. They probably seen certain things, and I don't know as far as like the writers or the person that directed the movie what their experiences are, and they probably thought it'd be funny to add those elements. I don't think they sit here and think, oh well, all black people act this or act this way. That's just something that they've come to become familiarized with being in the neighborhood, let's say that they grew up in. So I don't think it's that much of a leap where okay, we're just gonna because if it's a black movie, right? Um, but it wasn't comedy, I can see what you're talking about because they're trying to like, you know, they're trying to show people what the black experience is. If it wasn't a comedy, I'd be like, yeah, they're kind of like, they're going too far because it's a comedy and comedy being very loose with the material and exaggerative and doing things that are not are supposed to just be out there kind of jokes. They're not really meant to be taken seriously is why I don't really see it like that. Like when did you guys ever see the movie Monsters Ball with Halle Berry? Came out like the early 2000s.
No.
I think so.
Well, a lot of people were criticizing that movie because Halle Berry she won an Oscar for doing that movie, but people were saying at the time that because she had been in other movies previous to that where like they were also good, but in the movie Monsters Ball she was kind of like playing she was a black woman in like a racist town, working as like a waitress, and she ends up getting into like this abusive relationship with a white man, and people were saying, oh well, she had to play this role to win an Oscar, right? Like she had to play not a strong, powerful woman, a woman of in an important position, right? Like she had to do that in order to get the Oscar. So if you were to make that argument, I can see that because if you look at the kind of movies she did before that, like she had a movie called Losing Isaiah, where she's like a social worker and she's like raising a kid that I didn't see the movie, but like reading up on it, it seemed like like a movie where she was actually doing something like important, like really really showing her expertise or her skills. And she didn't, that movie didn't do too good. But part of the story is like when black people have to put themselves in certain positions to do things for the white man or to win an award or to get noticed or get praised, then I could see that like, yeah, that's
That is
that's exactly what they're trying to do.
That is exactly the point I'm trying to make about larger fiction from black people in general. But yes, I feel like this movie is also part of it because a black comedy movie can't just be a black comedy movie. It has to be a black comedy movie in reference to their blackness. You know what I'm saying? Like it can't just be a movie, isn't this just black people being funny and having fun with each other? No,
But
it has to be
it's funny
reference
because
to blackness.
it's funny you say that because Ice Cube he went on the podcast and they asked him about the movie Friday, and the whole purpose behind Friday was because even though it's like if you watch Friday, like this is clearly a comedy movie, but like real shit happens too. Like it's also serious in its tone in certain parts of the movie, but mainly it's a comedy movie. But when they were asking why he wanted to do the movie, is because he had done a movie, the complete opposite of that in Boys in the Hood, which is like a one of those hood films like Fresh Juice, and he said he was tired of like, even though he had did that one movie, he was just tired of seeing like there wasn't no like funny, like there wasn't no funny movies about life in the hood, right? Like it was always about death, trauma, everything that's like everything being serious and traumatic. So he wanted to create a movie where like it's just a day in the hood where like there's nothing going on. Like I'm clowning on my homie, he clowning on me. We just smoking, getting high, that type of feel. So that's why he decided to make a movie like Friday, because he was tired of like people having to like black people being put into this box where it was just like, all right, well, you're gonna be a gangster, or you're gonna be somebody that is threatening or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I just wanna have a good time with the homie, right?
Yeah.
Do you think
Yeah.
this
So
movie takes black people out of that box?
I
No.
don't think it takes him out of that box. I don't think it helps either, but
I think it makes it worse.
because of how it looks.
Yeah. No, because what I'm going to say is, like you said, right? Friday is an example of him just making a movie with black characters in the ghetto. It didn't have to be in the ghetto, but he chose to set it in the ghetto. I'm not going to say anything about that. And it's like it's them in situations that are completely have nothing to do with their blackness. It's just humorous situations they're in. Especially when you get to the movie. What was that? Was that the second one? I think it was the second one where he's in the Mexican neighborhood, and then like that kind of stuff. It's like the movie is the movie works. You could change all the characters in Friday to white
But
people.
but somebody could do what you're doing with Friday and be like, even though a lot of people love
Yeah, a lot
Friday,
of people have
people
actually.
could be like, oh, well, that's not life in the hood. That's not, like you're making black people to be, come off this way, or
That's
even
the
in
thing.
the second movie, you're making Mexican people to look like this,
That's the
you
thing.
know.
People actually did do that. There are many people who have written about that. I'm not going to make that argument. But my point is, the fact that he said it in the hood, something can be said about that in the first place. That he wanted to make comedy movie about black experience, and he decided to set it in the hood is a very interesting choice. Someone could say that. I'm not going to say that because you're free to set a movie wherever you want, and he might not have had any forethought. He just wanted to do a movie in the hood. Because even I wanted to do movies set in the hood, and there was nothing about it. I just wanted to set a movie there. But my point is, when you look at his movie, you can change all the characters in his movie to white people, and the movie can still exist. The movie can still work. You can make Friday instead about white people in a trailer park, and it can have the same plot, the same premise, the same humor, and it would still work, right? This movie is completely different. Like it's literally like everything's gonna be a joke about their blackness, and in references to their blackness, it's like it's black. This is the black movie. I feel like that's black people in today's world. Because like Ice Cube, back then, I would say about like from the 70s and the 2000s, a lot of black actors were allowed to be in movies just for the sake of being in them. There were a lot of like black movies that were just or like a lot of black characters who were just like household items then and that kind of thing. And like there wasn't as much of a strong message of like I guess trying to push these like social issues and representation. So like now black people are trapped in this box where in order to write a movie regarding like or having black characters like majority black cast, it can't just be a movie in itself like the way Friday was. It can't just be a movie where they're just doing stuff and having fun. It has to have this undercurrent and element of race. And there are literally people who argue this. They're just like, yo, well, when you a black man in America, racism is part of your life. It's just in your DNA. It's part of your life. There's no way you can escape it. That's what these people say. So that's part of why they write fiction like this. They literally believe that it's not possible to write about the black experience without reflecting race in some way. Yeah. So that's I don't know. What about you, Ray?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, you continue. Say what you're gonna say, EJ.
Oh no, I was gonna say that last line you said about there's no way for them to write it without adding that undertone of race or discrimination. I remember Ti said was being asked a question about that because they always say with rappers, oh, you always talk about the hood or selling drugs or this and that, like just negatives, right? And and they were saying like why do you guys continue to rap about those things if you know it's not beneficial? And his answer I thought was interesting. He was like, "Well, I talk about for him. Can't speak for every rapper, but for him, he says I talk about my experience and what I go through, and that's part of it. Like it's part of what I grew up and what I seen. So if you want me to rap about something differently, then change my environment or change the environment to what some of these other people are going through. But we constantly are going through the same thing over and over. So obviously are some people that glorify that aspect of it that are not that find it cool and they don't want to change it. But for him, it's a way to like give awareness to that situation.
Well, what I was gonna say, fuck, I forgot. I know it was something. You reminded me of something with Ti. Oh, when you look at rappers who try to break out of that mold, what happens to them? They get shafted. They get called corny. People make fun of them because they're trying to rap about things outside of that experience.
Will Smith.
So you can't blame them. You can't even blame them. It's like, okay, I can't rap about anything but partying hard, taking drugs, selling drugs, or being gangster. I guess that's what I'm gonna do.
That's what sells. The sex, the
Exactly.
drugs, the murder, whatever. Like all that
Exactly.
is eye catching to someone.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, they can't you can't make a love song as a rapper. I mean, rappers are now doing that kind of stuff now. They're experimenting. But even when they do, that's something I've noticed. Rappers will experiment like once, and then they'll have to go back to their typical style. Like, look, that's what happened to Kendrick Lamar. The theory that with the Damn album was that it was his criticism. It was his critique that he tried to do something else. It was not well regarded, and this was him kind of venting about how that album where he tried to be experimental wasn't well regarded. So I have to be back to the bullshit. That's what some people were saying that album is about. But what you were gonna say something, right?
Oh man, there's a lot to cover here, right? Because speaking about what Ti said, I kind of feel like Ice Cube probably had that same mentality when he picked the hood to be Friday's backdrop, where it was just like it might have just been somewhere he grew up. I don't know where Ice Cube grew up, but he might have been like.
I think he grew up in like
Ice Cube's from LA.
Adjacent to the hood. I don't think he grew up in like the hood per se, but he probably did.
I don't know, but it's probably just something that he saw a lot of. Because like even if you didn't grow up in the hood, you might have gone to the hood a lot when you were younger, depending on like whatever. That could be like the reason he put that as the backdrop. And like when you look at Friday, there is a certain aspect of it where it's like you're right, Gio. Like you could just change all the characters' races or whatever, and like the movie itself is just kind of funny, right? Like it is a funny movie that has black people in it. It's not a funny movie about black people, right? You get the difference in what I'm trying to say? Like, do I need to clarify the difference of what I just said?
No, that's a good point. That's a good point.
But this movie, The Blackening, look, the title is called The Blackening. Like, what kind of shit is that, bro?
Jesus Christ.
Like it's clearly not a comedy about the horror genre, because that's what Scary Movie was. That's why they called it Scary Movie. And it parodied all these kinds of different scary. It parodied Saw, it parodied Scream, it parodied Final Destination. It parodied a bunch of scary movies. That's why it was called Scary Movie. And, we don't talk about Scary Movie 4 because that shit's whack. But it wasn't like, oh, these movies.
At least 3 was good.
Anyway, but like those movies weren't like. They were good because like they were parodying that thing, and like so if The Blackening is really a Scary Movie parody clone or whatever, going on like the title, going on the material, it has to be that they're making fun of black people. Like that's what it seems like to me. Like it really does seem like they're making fun of black people and the different types of ways that they act, and like you can see it in like their characterizations, right? They had the super nerdy guy with glasses vote for Trump because he's the least black. And I was like,
silly
it's silly. It is some goofy
I think
shit.
they could do a better job with the characterizations. I think that's when it's like, okay,
the light skinned guy
trying
to the white woman.
I think I think they're not because like when you look at Scary Movie, right? Scary Movie, the way it's written, sort of like Naked Gun, it's very over the top. You watch Scary Movie and it's very obvious this is a comedic movie. It's not meant to be taken seriously. This movie I felt like doesn't know what it's trying to do. because look in regards, especially to the one that the character is supposed to be the least black. Look how goofy and weird he acted compared to everyone else. He seemed like a cartoon character among normal people. Like it's like what kind of movie are you guys trying to
he
make?
literally looked like Steve Urkel.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
literally
It
looked
was very
like he
weird.
was Steve Urkel in that movie.
Yeah. I guess Michael B. Jordan saw that and
I
got
just don't know. I just don't know how these movie execs or directors could make a movie where they're trying to depict a certain community, right? But do it in a respectful manner without someone being sensitive towards it, because you can't put something in a movie about a community of people without somebody disagreeing with that, without somebody saying that's not a true
Did you
representation
look
of
at
us.
this movie and was like, this is a bunch of black people hanging out? Like, this is
No.
this is the. I'm asking Eric. Like, is that what you saw when you looked at this?
Honestly, I didn't think that that much deep into it. I was just like, it's a movie with some characters and some jokes. That's it. You know, I didn't think about the black community at large. You know, about it.
It was called The Blackening, bro. Bro, it's called The Blackening.
Would you feel better if they named it The Whitening? It was all white characters.
No, I would have had the same opinion.
If it was called The White, I thought that was weird. I'm like, why is it called?
Yeah, like I would have had the same opinion. White people, black people, I'd have been like, yo, what the fuck are you doing here?
But yeah, it's like when I saw that movie, I saw it as, oh, another movie that's gonna be literally all about race. I was like, okay, this is weird. Like, because the thing is, you can make a comedy movie about communities without going full on like this is the black thing, black, black, black. You can do that. Friday is an example. Plenty of other black comedy movies that do that. Fucking look at Good Friday, Good Sunday. I mean, Good Sunday is another.
But you said some people criticize Friday though, so there's gonna be some flack that comes with it.
On
Yeah.
some level, you have to accept that you're gonna receive criticism no matter what. There are people who fucking believe, there are people who believe Planet of the Apes is about black people. Like these people exist. You're not gonna be able to escape. I couldn't say that without a straight face.
But why even bother making that kind of movie where it's about a community of people? Like why even? That's like a dicey subject, you know.
Well, you just make movies. If you have a movie, first of all, you shouldn't go about I'm gonna make a movie about these. No, I feel like that's stupid. If you want to, you make a movie and based on like, let's say I don't know. Let's say I had a movie that had like, I wanted to set a movie in like an Aboriginal kind of settlement or something. Then I would just set the movie there. I would write the characters as normal three-dimensional people, and it would be about them living in their settlement. You know,
I mean, you got movies that the purpose is to be about that community because let's say they have
that's what I'm saying.
Let's say they have a certain plight, right? Like the black plight that is that is more that is more felt within that community than within like let's say we're talking about police brutality and how the black community is affected by that. Like I think the movie Detroit was about that kind of the writers during that time period. But like you're gonna make that movie with the approach of I want people to walk away from it feeling more sensitive and more aware about right. So you have to you have to incorporate that into the movie.
That's that kind of movie. Yeah, that kind of movie exists. Like Sorry to Bother You was a movie that was like a critique of like consumerism and capitalism, right? And it worked. That was clearly the goal of the movie. But like it's different. Like one reason why people complain about this is because it becomes annoying when every single piece of entertainment seems to be trying to do the same thing. They're all trying to impart this social message on you. It's like there's no variety anymore, right? Then it becomes even worse when it's just in movies where it does not need to be. Like you're watching an action adventure movie and they stop to preach to you about social values. You're just like, it really will feel, honestly, it will dead feel like that. When these scenes are written so badly in like some random movies, it will dead feel like you're watching the movie. The main character pauses the action and turns you like, now I'm going to tell you why racism is bad. It's like, you're like, what the fuck is going on right now? It's like, I thought this was a movie. Yeah.
I just think that's a. Nah, I ain't gonna watch it. But if we all at your crib and we got some drinks and nothing to do, you want to watch it?
That's the only time I'd watch it. I would like flick it on for that.
I just think it's a tough task, man. Like I feel like with certain like comedy movies like this one, I don't really think they're trying to get a message across. Like I said, if the genre was different,
I can't
I
agree
think
with
they
that
would be trying to
statement,
push
bro.
that.
Yeah,
And the
can't.
only
what-
reason I
what is
can't
the-
agree
what is
with
the
that
message?
statement is called the blackening. That's why I can't agree with
What,
what you just
what do you
said.
think they're trying to say with this movie
I have
about
no idea what they're trying
Well,
to
I don't
say,
know
but
what
they're trying to
ideas?
say something.
I don't know explicitly what they're trying to say, but I know they're writing a movie that's literally built on race and the divisions.
Yeah, bro. Like it's called the blackening. You saw the minstrel character in the board.
Yeah.
The fucking the game master is a minstrel character. Random quote.
Like,
Would
I
Rosa
see it.
Parks be sitting right now? Like, come on. It's nothing but black references, stereotypes, something.
But
Like, they're trying to say something.
I think that's I mean, every movie has an idea, right? Like every movie, there's a purpose behind not even just a movie, a project. Why you decided to go on this endeavor? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? Even if it's comedy, no matter what the genre is. I feel like with this movie in particular, I feel like the idea wasn't awesome. You know, like because the people in this movie are black. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's like, well, let's expose some of the things about our culture that are kind of like, you know, unnecessary.
I'm not saying they went in there with the idea of like trying to create black caricatures and making a movie that's gonna, a foolish movie like that. I'm saying that they don't know how to write movies starring black people and regarding black communities without resorting to that. And I'm saying that it becomes annoying when among entertainment, one, you don't have loads of black entertainment to choose from to begin with in this modern world. And then the very little you do fucking have, if you're like, okay, I want to watch a movie with some black people in it. I want to see some people like me.
Shit, Love and Hip Hop is a prime example of that shit.
Exactly. You have no choice.
That shit is crazy.
Everything you fucking look at is going to be some problematic bullshit. Like either you're going to have some Love and Hip Hop where they fighting and throwing drinks on each other every 10 seconds, or you're going to have to watch something that's going to sit there and fucking start telling you about the history of racism. And you're just like, I know racism is a thing. I know. Where is the normal black people? Where are the black characters just enjoying a meal? Is there no black shows where it's just a black guy going to high school and enjoying himself?
Yeah, there's no black sex in the city, right?
So you're saying it's like two ends of the spectrum. It's either like you're portraying us as these caricatures of what we really are,
these caricatures.
or it's just like it's a super traumatic experience that needs to be felt and understood and
like there's no black new girl, right? Like
two extremes.
Like what is New Girl about? It's just about this ditzy girl, right? Like
And the very few times they'll try to make a show that's kind of like Black New Girl, instead it'll be like she's a sassy, independent woman, and every time people try to come at her for her race and her womanhood, she shuts them down. That's how they write every black woman on the planet. It's very fucking annoying.
Nah, but what you said was really important about like, isn't there just like an example of there being, simple black entertainment without any of those other underlying factors. And that's why I love the show Martin, because Martin was like that to me. Right? Like Martin didn't have any of that. It was just like any issue, regardless of like being black, white, Spanish, like you could see that happening in a household, like going at it, pulling, cracking jokes on each other.
My Wife and Kids, talk show.
And the thing about Martin, and I remember like Fresh Prince, I love Fresh Prince, but that's why I always, when comparing the two, because it's come up in conversation that I had, like which one I like more, I always pick Martin, because Martin, and not saying that Fresh Prince is doing anything wrong, but Martin was just like, I'm sitting at the crib, I want to binge watch something, like I don't want to get down in the dumps, I don't want to feel too, I just laugh. Martin was that show for me. When I watch Fresh Prince, even though I got a lot of comedy, there's a lot of seriousness in that show. When you look at, when you look at some of the conflicts, hell yeah, the conflicts.
There's some serious heavy episodes.
They have episodes that are serious. They have episodes that are serious, but the entire, like I wouldn't say the DNA of the show in itself.
No, he's not saying that. He's just saying there's episodes that are real serious.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and it's not like every once in a while. Like it comes up kind of often.
It's like every third episode he's gonna talk about some real shit.
I don't know about that. I feel like you guys are exaggerating.
You gotta rewatch First Prince, man. There's a lot. There's a lot of them.
It might come up more often when you binge it, because like if you're watching it, like when you catch it, usually they're not gonna air the heavier episodes randomly because they're so heavy.
Yeah, I think isn't it like?
And I love that. And I love that about First Prince. I'm not even saying like that shouldn't be a part of it, because it breaks up it from being one way, from one comedy to like, oh, this is actual show, and the character is developing and he's learning things. And even like if you want to put it into like the after school special type of shit, where like if I'm sitting at home and I'm not familiar with like some of the issues that people go through, right, within the Black community, or even with not even being about Black, but being a Black person, but like Will not having a father, and that episode where his father comes back and dealing with those issues, like that's something that I would never know about, that I would never have gone through or experienced. But being able to see that, and a show being able to express that point and give light to what goes on with a lot of people, like not knowing that.
But you're saying that in contrast, Martin was able
Martin for me, when I'm comparing them, I put Martin over it because Martin was able to just capture my attention with just straight laughs and jokes for hours on end without me having to give it any second thought. Now there's people that want that. Now it becomes a conversation of like what you want in your entertainment. Do you want something like thought provoking, where like you sit there and think?
Why does thought provoking when it comes to Black people always boil back down to race? Why can't you make thought provoking content with Black people that has nothing to do with race? I feel like it's pretty easy, especially in the Bronx. There are loads of topics. You could have a whole thing about you could do like a thing where it's like the old generation versus the new generation. Because like you could have the old Black people are always talking about how this new music is trash. You can do anything. There's so many stories you can use Black people to tell, but they only want to tell the same stories. And there's another thing, a point you made that relates to the movie I saw. So I remember you were saying that it was Ray. I don't know which one of you said that it was satirizing, like it was satirizing the thing, right? Satire is notoriously hard to do, and not only is it hard to do, it's hard for people to understand. People don't get satire. Like little kids watched American Psycho and thought Patrick Bateman was someone they should model themselves after. They didn't.
I mean, little kids should not be watching that movie. What little kids is watching?
I don't think he means like literal children. He just meant like young men.
Yeah, I just meant like young men watched that movie and were fucking acting. They were like, he's just like me. It's like the point is, you're not supposed to relate to Patrick Bateman. Patrick Bateman is literally a parody of a certain.
I'm not gonna lie. I felt like that. Not with Patrick Bateman, but I've related to like some shitty characters. But I credit that to good writing, because they'll play a character that is shitty, but they play that character so good that it's like it make you think like, damn, is he really? It's kind
you're just a shitty person. I don't know, man. Sometimes you just gotta accept that.
It's not even just that. It's like if you're a really good writer, you can portray something that you disagree with nuance. Like, for example, in Watchmen, right? Alan Moore is a notorious super lib. He's a huge super liberal. He hates fucking conservatism. The character Rorschach is meant to be like a parody of conservatism, of like typical conservatism, right? But the way he wrote Rorschach with so much nuance and like as a three-dimensional character, it made the character very popular. And people started to relate to the character and think he was interesting, much to the anger of Alan Moore. He didn't mean to do that, but it's just that he writes in such a convincing way, or I guess thought-provoking way, that he couldn't help himself. So wait, what was I saying? I'm trying to remember what this related to. What was this relating to? You said something and I was responding to it. I'm trying to think.
He said, I was saying the characters. I mean, the writers have a good way of like portraying the characters to be evil, but they do a good job in that. So it kind of makes me.
There we go.
Yeah, think
Patrick
twice.
Bateman. Patrick Bateman, though, is not written in a humanizing way at all. Like he has no redeeming qualities in that movie. He's literally written to be as irredeemable as possible. And even when Christian Bale was talking about, he aimed to play him as irredeemable as he could. So like it's weird to look at a character like that and be like, wow, he's so cool. You know?
Yeah, I don't know how they could do that with him, but for other characters like Robert De Niro's character in Taxi Driver is
wow.
he takes a sharp left, but in the beginning of that movie, like when you see him driving in New York and like I don't want to spoil the movie for those who haven't seen it, great movie, and that's probably another movie I would put in there for the night. But yeah, like he goes through, he's going through some internal conflicts that anyone could probably like sympathize with and get. It's just what he does with that and how he reacts where I don't feel that, but you could feel that inner turmoil that he goes through. And it's just like, damn, like he could be a different person if he just chose to handle it differently.
But yeah, satire is notoriously hard to write. People don't get it. So like when you write a movie like this, it's like I don't know. It's like how do you like in order to satirize something or to make fun of something, you have to truly understand it. I really agree with the idea that you have to truly be able to take something at face value before you can make fun of it. Because if you're making fun of it without taking it at face value, you're not making fun of the actual thing. You're making fun of a straw man and a caricature. You're presenting a character of that thing that has nothing like the original thing. I think that's what happens a lot with like when they try to make comedy for Black people. They don't truly understand Black people because they're not looking at them as humans. They're looking at them as Black people. So instead of getting humor and characters that are just relatable and just happen to be Black, you have characters that exist to be Black. The point is to show that they are Black. And I feel like that's where it gets annoying. So it's like we don't have any opportunity to just watch Black people play nuanced, interesting characters. Instead, we have a bunch of characters who are in these situations that are meant to be stereotypically Black, and this is a Black person and Black stuff, and all their speech is centered around how they're Black and that kind of stuff. Like even look at that game, Miles Morales, right? Look at the fucking the way the guy reviewed that game. This guy was Black too. Fucking
with the exaggerated swagger of a Black teen.
He's so different from Peter Parker because he walks with the exaggerated swagger of a Black teen. And all the motherfucker did was turn towards the camera and do this. That's all. That's what he from a Black character doing this at the camera. He had that whole weird ideology about the swagger of a Black teen. Like that's bizarre. It was like what character doesn't like fucking Ben 10 would do some stupid shit like that. Does he have the swagger of a Black teen? No, he's just a kid. And then on top of that, we either get those or we get repainted versions of white stuff. So it's like we get a Black Little Mermaid. You get Ariel. She's a Black character. She's just the Black version of that character. That's so cool. You guys happy? We get a Black Tinkerbell. Ooh, yeah. You get a stupid fairy thing that doesn't talk. It's Black now. You happy, guys? You happy for that? It's like, why can't we just have original Black ideas and Black characters that are just, doing stuff? Like, I don't know.
No, I see what you're saying, but there's always two sides to it. I think like even if you want to say like putting a Black character in a setting or in an environment where they're not around other Black people, right? Like usually it's one of two approaches. You could do the approach you're suggesting, which is make them about who they are, beyond them just being Black. Like, what is interesting about this character? What is something that people can come to like about him without it being, oh, Black pride, Black this, Black empowerment? But then if you try to go the route of like, he's just a plain old character, like the Black thing is of little importance. It's not, it's not really, it has nothing to really do with him or whatever. It's just, his skin happens to be Black. Well, people will sit there and say, oh, well, that's a Black person wouldn't act like that. People, and I feel like that is a wrong way to think about it, but I feel like that is why we see that with certain characters, why they have them overtly trying to show who they are, because they want to say like, well, especially if it's a white person doing this, they want to be like, well, if I'm gonna put a Black character, I want to be true to the Black community.
Yeah.
I want somebody to be like, okay, I represented them right because I put this in there. But then you got the other people that's like, fuck that. I don't want to be represented right. I just want you to put a character in there that is going to be himself, right? And I don't care for you to make any indicator of anything about his race or anything about that. So that in the mind of somebody that's trying to create this world of characters and they happen to, make someone of a certain race, and especially if it's not like a Fresh Prince or Martin where it's predominantly that race, they have one or two ways to go about it, and either way, somebody's gonna say, "Well, that's not how black people react," or "That's not, that doesn't need to be in there. He's black, but make him about something else." So it's like, what? No matter, you're doomed if you go that way. You're doomed if you go another way.
Yeah, I really do agree with the idea that there is a feeling where it's like you can't win. I do feel like the vast majority of people are normal people, and if you make a black character,
That's even with you, right, in your personal life, right?
Yeah.
People look at you, and you've heard people say this about you, like from like other black people. You're not black enough. You're not the things you like or the way you talk.
White people do actually. White people said
exactly, and that should offend you because it's like all black people are supposed to be a certain way, and you literally have people within the black community telling this to you. So it's like they in their minds, like they have an idea of what black means. So it's just like it's a tough task to put on anybody that's really trying to create a project, because on the one hand you're gonna get somebody that sees it as like a minstrel show caricature kind of vibe, and then you're gonna have another person in the corner like, yeah, like black empowerment, black awareness, like pride, representation, like all that, like that. I like what they're doing. They're bringing more notice and awareness to our culture,
I do feel like the vast majority of people are normal people who just want to see interesting characters. Like I do feel like if you put out an interesting black character out there that isn't announcing that they're black every 10 seconds, I feel like most people enjoy that. But you're right. There is a small but very vocal minority of people who are weirdos who cannot see anything outside of politics and race. This is how their world is. Like I was watching a video kind of about this, and this is what inspired me to kind of do my take on it. He was talking about something very similar about the new minstrel show, but his thing was like not even like in terms of like what we're saying, where it's in terms of fiction, because this guy, I get the feeling, I'd have to look at his channel, but I get the feeling that he's very liberal. So he probably celebrates the things that we're making fun of, like a movie like, nah, he probably would think the blackening was stupid too. I feel like just based on hearing him talk a little bit, I think he would think the blackening was weird and silly as well. But he was criticizing like black social media creators, and like I didn't get to watch the entire video, so I'm not going to talk. But the few things he showed, it's like black people eating things and making like crazy faces and stuff. And his idea was supposed to be that look how black people sell themselves. They selling themselves to the white man and minstrel stuff. But then I was like, the only reason you're putting this weird criticism on them is because they're black. Because white people make similar content doing the same shit. They're Korean people who fucking sit there stuffing their faces with food to their cheeks are this big and making the same exaggerated facial expressions. Yeah, same exaggerated facial expressions. They're not getting criticized for it being called minstrel performers, but black people are. Like black people are not. It's like you said, you're not free to do anything you want. If you're just a black teenager who's like, you know what? I'm gonna make funny videos where I eat stuff and do all the things the white people are doing on TikTok. You go and do that shit, and then you have 1,000 black people criticizing you for destroying the black community, and you're just like, what the fuck? It's like all I did was make a video.
Yeah, and that's where that needs to die. That kind of thinking, where it's like, oh, a black person would never do that. No, instead of saying a black person never do that, you need to think maybe a person out there will probably do that. Not like take the black part out of it. Take what you've known to be black people to be, and just think about a person, any person of the world, any skin color, shade, whatever they are, would probably do this if they're in that situation. And I think that they need to open it up more instead of like limiting their thinking as to no, this person has to be the actual representation of what I think a black person is.
Yeah, so, man. Honestly, like I'm not the kind of idiot who's gonna say something like I don't see race. Like, that's fucking retarded. Like I don't agree with that idea, right? Obviously we see race. Obviously we typically can note when people are a different shade or color, ethnicity, culture, anything. You can even tell if somebody lives in another neighborhood just by hearing the way they talk. So we notice these things. But at the same time, there is more to me outside of my skin tone. Like there's more under the hood. Like it's like that video we made, Ray, where we were saying that like I was saying that I don't like the term African American. I don't think of myself as an African American. Like it never crosses my mind. I think of myself as an American. Because it's like Ray said so succinctly in that moment. There's no African in this American. And it's like it's true. Like thinking from a cultural perspective, what aspect of us is fucking African in any way, shape, or form? None. So like,
what part of me is Hispanic? It's more
exactly,
Latin American. Just
exactly.
American, man. Just
You're just an
American.
American. You're an American. And
And
people
I'm
used
proud
to hate.
to be an American.
Oh, yeah. People used to hate.
I know, I'm free.
People used to hate when I said that shit. That I'm just an all-American. Because I would look back at my childhood and see that it was your typical all-American childhood. I was just like, oh, I went to comic shops like a normal person, not comic shops, but I went to the mall like your typical American teenager. I I played sports like your typical American teenager. Did all the typical American teenager stuff. Might have been in the Bronx, but it was just similar to those kids in the suburbs. We did the same shit.
Like it's no different than it's no different than when you see on social media, right? Like when people put those posts up about, oh, if you grew up in this time period, right? Like, what a sidekick is, or what this looks like, right? And then they'll use that, and then they'll make it more cultural. Like they'll make it a more cultural example. Like, well, if you black and you grew up in this time period, you would know what this is, and then they'll show the image. And what's the percentage of people that can relate to that? It's probably a high amount of people that, depending on what it is, but it's probably something that was very, very
I've
prevalent.
seen those kinds of posts, and it's mad people in the comments being like, "I'm XYZ race," and I remember that exact same shit. My mom did the same shit too. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, but that becomes to form the stereotypes. Like that is what people. That's their idea. Their logic as to, okay, well, I grew up in this household. I'm black. These are the things I've seen, and now they expect people from other parts of the world or other parts of America that is black to have grown up in that same way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Look at one thing I'll say, and he's the guy in the video probably wouldn't point this out. He's probably only going to make videos about the black people enjoying themselves because black people aren't allowed to be happy. So the black people just having fun and making videos where they're happy. Like he showed a video of a guy, biting into a watermelon like this and looking up at the camera, right? And I'm not gonna lie, I had a bit of a reaction. It was a little jarring. I was like, what the fuck? Like that was a little weird, right? But at the same time, I did thought to myself, I was like, if it was a white guy doing it, I probably would not have had a second thought. The white guy I still would have thought it was corny and goofy and weird. But I wouldn't have been like, man, look how they forcing the white man into a box. The white man gotta perform for the black man. Like I wouldn't have said that. But it's funny, you look at black comedy, right? And it's like, especially the kind of thing you're talking about where it's like supposed to be relatable. It's always about abuse, suffering, pain. Like always be like, yo, when you black and you poor or some shit like that. Like back memes of like, you ain't black if you don't remember going to bed hungry. Like this.
But it seems like some people like they don't mind the stereotypes. Like when it's convenient, when they're making a joke themselves, they want to be proud of that. Like, oh yeah, growing up, these are the things that went on. When somebody outside tries to use it,
that was evil.
Not all black people do that. Now it's criminal. Now it's offensive.
Laughter is a coping mechanism. So it is very easy for people who went through the same struggle to laugh about it. So if you grew up in a poor neighborhood and you're like talking about your past, you might make jokes about it.
See, but that's the thing. They tie it to being black. So now it becomes a thing where if you did not experience this thing specific to me in my neighborhood, in my environment, you ain't black. They'll literally say this kind of shit to you.
Yes, you are
If you
correct.
weren't
That is
suffering
the
like
thing.
I
But
was.
I was just explaining like where
Yeah.
the idea of laughing at, literally laugh at my pain. They are laughing at their own pain because they
I try
have
to explain.
poor
it's like
methods of coping with it otherwise. You
it's
know?
like the idea we see with cultural appropriation and you know that means something. It's more important. So for you to take something from my culture and for you to even if you have a lot of respect for it in my mind, it was what you were saying. You didn't it represents struggle. There's a certain element of sensitivity to that you would know nothing about. And so they don't want people that didn't experience that to share, you know, or to take part in that same thing because they don't know, you know, they don't know for a second what that's like, which I get, but also got to understand that like people are trying to, you know, come together in a sense, and that could be sometimes limiting or like very exclusionary, and it might not just be from like a we grew up poor, we grew up a certain way. It might just be like, oh well, you didn't have this. Well, okay, well they would like. There's not a conversation then. That's
Yeah,
what
I
I feel
mean,
like sometimes
to
they want to
me,
close the door, like they want to leave that barrier.
yeah. They're like, oh, you ain't black enough if you didn't suffer in this specific way, or you can't be a friend to black people because you haven't suffered like we have, like that kind of stuff. But I mean, in regards to the cultural appropriation thing, like, yeah, I can see when they make arguments like that, like, oh, you haven't experienced whatever so and thing. But a lot of times, people making those criticisms have themselves have no fucking frame of reference or experience
Yep.
relating to like it's like no, you don't have the same traumas. Like even if you can say, oh, we have a stress gene that we inherited from our like no, you don't have you did not experience the trauma the same way as the person who's actually there did. You're fucking several generations removed. Stop using it as a shield and a fucking club to beat other people to submission.
And that's kind of how I
Yeah.
feel about this movie right now. Like I feel like the comedy aspect is just a shield to. So if anyone doesn't get what they're trying to say or has any criticism of what they are trying to say, it's a comedy, you know, like it's supposed to be funny, and I don't think that should be used as an excuse because, like I said, when I watched the trailer, I really was just like, yo, what the fuck am I watching? Like what is
Yeah.
good? Like
Because like that's the thing.
how did this get
Let's
past anything?
this is written by black people, so that's why people are going to say it's okay. Now let's imagine, right? A white guy released a movie named The Blackening like that. You think that shit? You think people would be acting like that was normal, or do you think there'd be mad articles written about how offensive that movie is? What do you think would happen? I don't know. Either one of you can.
I
Oh,
mean, like I feel like there would
yeah.
be some backlash if
Yeah.
a non-black person made this exact same movie, like same exact movie. It would have been a whole issue, and like I think that's the problem because like I don't think because a black person made this movie it should be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the same thing. It would have been 10 times worse if a white
Yeah.
person made it. But it's just it shouldn't have been made. Period. Which is what Ray was saying. Like he doesn't
Yeah.
agree
Bad movie.
with that direction. There was something else I was gonna add. Oh, like like we live in a very especially when it comes to like certain things about race and ethnicity and cultural background. We live in a very segregated world
Yes.
when we try to have these conversations or when we try to work together on certain things or because like you said, a lot of people want to hold on to those experiences. Like even though you're trying to move past it, you're still holding on to it and using that as a device to separate yourself from someone else. Like yeah, we all have struggles. Obviously, certain groups of people went through worse struggles, but that doesn't mean that like we can't come together on certain things, right? And it's just like people have a way of putting up this, like I said, barrier or segregating themselves from other people because of that. And it's just like how are we supposed to move forward as a society if everything about you or the minute that I come into contact with you, it's just like I have to acknowledge a plight. I have to acknowledge this. I have to acknowledge the past. Um, because honestly, like people there are some people that are ignorant to that, and they should be educated, and they should understand obviously the history or what happened before in certain situations. But there's also times where it's just not called for. Like I don't need to recognize all your struggles, just like you don't need to recognize all mine. Like we're in a situation where it doesn't call for it, but they still carry that with them. It still weighs them down. Like you can see how they can't separate themselves without it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most frustrating part. People want to be respected as a person, but yet they carry the cultural significance of certain past traumas and all that with them everywhere they go.
Yeah. And speaking on the topic of like how people are so segregated and they refuse to relate to their fellow man. I remember I was talking to someone about this, a girl at work, telling her about how I liked black exploitation films and I thought they were cool and like interesting, right? And I do understand the somewhat problematic elements of some of them, but like you look at a movie like Shaft. Shaft is a great fucking movie, and it's fun, and it's like it's full of action, and that movie can work with Shaft being white. Like, sure, him being black is kind of a huge point of the film, but honestly, if you change him into a white guy, the movie would be exactly the same. Like nothing about the movie would change. You'd just be a white Shaft, right? But speaking of Shaft, the reason I mentioned it, I told this girl that a long time ago I had this idea for a movie where it was like I was wondering, I was like, wanted to make a modern black exploitation film where like it's very anachronistic, like it would look like the '70s, but there would be technology they're using that is not from the '70s. It would look like very '70s ish, but it would be like they'd have like fucking laptops and stuff that look like Atari things or whatever, right? I was telling her I wanted to make a black exploitation film, but for another marginalized group, like a movie that was supposed to do the same thing, like empowerment for another group. I was like, it'd be cool if Irish people, because they were another group that experienced a lot of discrimination over time. I was like, imagine if there was an Irish black exploitation film, like an Irish Shaft. I was like, so I told her about the idea. Like, I had this idea for this character named Shamrock, who's supposed to be like this, like the ultimate cool Irish ladies man who just like got shit done or whatever and would speak with a thick Irish accent. Remember, I said this to her and she was like, "You think Irish people suffered as much as black people?" And I was like, "Oh my fucking god!" I was like, "I didn't even one. I'm not going to get into this conversation. I don't want to have this conversation."
All people suffered, right?
Yeah, I was like, "Does it matter?" I was like, "The point was not to have a fucking competition of who suffered more. I just wanted to explore an idea using a different kind of character. Like you can't relate to it because it's a different skin color. Like Jesus Christ." Yeah.
Yeah, that type of behavior hinders growth. You know what I'm saying? It's just like how are we supposed to? And it's not about things are not always about. I'm not trying to make it seem like you're supposed to move past everything. Like there are things in your life that's gonna happen, or even things that happened before you that had happened that you're not supposed to forget about. Like I remember we had that conversation about serial killers, and I remember Ray was talking about how like we still talk about these horrible people because there's information to take away from it where we can move smarter now, and now it won't be as easy for someone like that to exist in present day because of all the information that we learned from it. And that's the usefulness in any past trauma is knowing how, okay, this was a dysfunctional way of thinking or this wasn't right, and now I know that even in present day, like obviously there isn't no slavery, but um, we know that we shouldn't discriminate against someone. We know we shouldn't think we're better than
Yeah.
someone, or because of race, or that type of power dynamic.
Yeah.
And not saying that slavery is the only example of that. Obviously, you can get that message across from any other example, but um, I guess the larger point that I'm trying to make is like it's fine to acknowledge the pain, and it's fine to acknowledge that happened, but it shouldn't become to the point where it informs your social interactions, or how you can relate to people or how you think about certain things. Like it should have its place, but there's also where there's also times where it doesn't need to fit into everything. You don't need to apply it to everything.
Yeah.
And that's the problem I have.
Yeah. I mean, slavery does still exist, just not. We just
Mental
don't. We don't.
slavery for sure.
Yeah. No, I mean
Even
like
slavery in other countries, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like they have, they're just out there enslaving people.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. People hate when you make this point, but there were white slaves. Like why? If you want to talk about how slavery, white people did experience a
They
form
were
of slavery.
called indentured servants, sir.
Not just that, white people were enslaved by Muslims. They were literally Muslim slaves. Like this is something that happened. Um, they hate when you talk about this though, because they're always like, it wasn't the same. It's like okay, whatever.
And it wasn't in America. So if you're having that conversation with someone in America.
Yeah, but slavery is a whole other topic before we get a fucking another firestorm. So like the video you mentioned where we were talking, where Ray mentioned the thing about the serial killers. That's the video people were mad about because they didn't get the larger point we were trying to make. Remember, we got called the coon. What do you call Coon Sambo Bigsby? I think that's what. I think that's what. I think that's what. I think they were talking about me. They had to be talking about
I
me.
called it stray because I didn't even say shit. I called it stray.
No, I think they were talking about me. I think the coon sample Bixby was specifically a reference to me. That sounds like that extreme of a reaction sounds like something that I would elicit.
Yeah.
I've been called the coon before. Heck, this is gonna be funny. There was a time I was on a page, and I had like a cartoon profile picture, so no one knew who I was. My name is Giovanni Martin. So I guess the person thought I was Italian. Oh, why the fuck did I? Whatever. Anyways, yeah. Anyways, the person thought that I was white. So I was saying something, and they're like, "You're a fucking Nazi." And I was like, "What?" Like, "Oh, you're a Nazi." I was like, okay. I was like, "That's interesting that you think that." And I think I told them, and they were like, "You're still a Nazi." They didn't care. They're like, "Oh, you're still a Nazi." I was like, it'd be weird for me to be a Nazi. I was like, that just doesn't seem to be something that could be like consistent with my identity. But hey, whatever. I think there are black Nazis though. But apparently there's a very famous one according to everyone else. Remember what he said? I love.
No idea what you're talking about. Never heard of him.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I think man, within the Hollywood world or just any like media outlets, it's just hard, man, when the topic of representation comes up because you had to please so many people, like it's really it's difficult, man. Like you're never gonna satisfy enough people. There's always gonna be someone offended, and then it's just the fact of like, is it genuine? Are you pandering? There's so many layers to the conversation
Yeah.
because of how sensitive that subject is. Like you want to do right by a group of people, but by doing right by them, you're probably gonna piss off some people within that same group. It just comes with it. So, and like I said, like there isn't one universal, like definition for what black is, for what any race is, for what Asian is. Like everybody's gonna have their own ideas to what that means. Everybody has a different experience. Obviously, there are certain commonalities that are shared within an ethnicity or racialized group, but um there, like I said, things have its place, and we've come to know and understand what they are, but it's hard to have something that's supposed to serve as like the overarching example or the overall definition as to the representation of who they're supposed to be or what they are. Like you're not gonna satisfy. You can't It's like trying to satisfy the world, except you're focusing on a group of people in the world. So I don't know, man.
So any hypotheticals, guys?
Would you
I
play
feel like
the
I
game?
have one.
Would you have played the game? You're in the blackening. You playing the game?
No. No, just no. I was like, no, I'm good. And I'll just leave. I mean, I'll probably get killed.
I got a hypothetical.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Let's say you and your man is on the same team, right? Sports team. So you're on the same basketball team. And this is college. Like both of you guys have have plans to go to the league one day. But let's say he's starting and you're coming off the bench. Y'all play the same position. I'm saying this, y'all play the same position. You're not at the time right now, like he's doing excellent, you know what I'm saying? Like his projection as far as being able to make it is significantly higher than yours at the moment. But let's say something happens where he gets injured, like he tears his ACL or something, and he's out for the rest of the season, and then that gives you the opportunity to step in for him, and then now you start coming into your own, and now everybody's like, "Yeah, you the man, you gonna make it." I see, I see big things, and like it's actually becoming a reality. Now let's say there's one more. This is a long hypothetical, but I'm gonna get to the point. I'm gonna get to the point. Now the next season, right? He's coming back from the injury, that same injury, but you have the starting spot, right? So now, I know this is going. I'm gonna make it hard by adding this element into it, even though it probably would never exist. And I know you're about to question it, but let's say, he's coming back with the mindset of like he's gonna get his spot back, right? Let's say that's happening. Like obviously it's gonna take him a couple games, but he's gonna get his spot back. Um, and and the coach leaves it up to you. He's like, hey, he had the starting spot before you. And he said he's gonna be feeling like 100% within like another week or so. So I'm gonna leave it up to you. If you want to start, come off the bench. Whatever decision you want, you make, I'm fine with that, and we'll go with what you want. But if you don't want to give up your spot, I understand. Would you give up your spot for your man?
First off, that coach is dodging responsibility. Like
I know. That's why I added that. The coach will ultimately make that decision.
Yeah, the coach has to make the decision. But like it has to be me. Like if I am truly after the spot and like I am getting the spotlight, like not even though like snaking my man's types, I have to take the spot. Like I have to keep it. I have to keep it. Yo, bro, I have my own ambitions too, right? So it's not even like I would literally be throwing my dreams away.
Even if it ruins the friendship?
I'd have to ask him, is like, you giving back the spot? Like real talk, he like, you're not giving back the spot.
You're trying to make it out there. You know what I'm saying? This opportunity is going.
Exactly. Like this isn't this is some high school. No, this is some college level shit. Like real chance to be noticed. Which I think college is a little too late. But like it's now or never, And like this is what you said the second season.
Second year.
Like this is it. This is prime time. Like, if anything, the coach should be putting both of us in the game. I don't even know why he having 2-star players not in the game at the same time. That nigga bugging.
I play the same position. Yep.
You telling me if I'm good at one position, I can't be good at any other position? That's crazy to me. Like if you really think I'm that good,
it seems like you're trying to run out the conflict.
No, I already told you my answer.
If you fuck with the friendship, you don't give a fuck.
Look, it's really just like I'd literally be throwing away my dream for that, and it's not like as shitty as you want to like make it seem. It's like, yo, like what am I supposed to do?
What am I supposed to say? No.
Not that ass.
I agree with you. It's tough, but
all right, Gio, what's the word? What's the word? Lie to my face.
I don't think I could ever betray my friend in that way.
Lie to my face.
It's really disrespectful to do that. I'd have to give up my position to my friend. I'd rather be homeless and out in the cold.
I don't know about you gonna be homeless and out in the cold if you don't give it the spot. But
I'm just playing.
Maybe you give it the spot.
It depends, man. Like, it's weird. Like in the moment, I feel like I'm gonna say, "Oh, I wouldn't do it." Like I wouldn't give up the spot. But then, in the situation, I don't know if the guilt would eventually overcome me. You never know, because like sometimes you're in a situation, you do something irrational and dumb just so you can be nice. Like I'm sure, heck, you were telling me a story like that the other day, EJ. where you did something that you low key regretted.
Yeah.
Nice. And you know, in the moment, it just seemed like the right thing to do, so you did it. So you never know.
See, I feel like this is beyond being nice, though.
Yeah, but if you have your level of self
Yeah,
preservation,
because this could be the difference between you guys,
sure, yeah,
maybe him or you making it to that
exactly,
next step.
self preservation. But then at the same time, you might, you know, you never know. You might be willing to take a bullet for somebody. It just happens. Sometimes you just do things
Like
without realizing.
I don't disagree with you. Like who knows what I would actually do in the situation? But
Yeah,
from the perspective, I think the answer should be from me. So
yeah. I don't think it's
you gotta take the
unreasonable.
spot.
I don't think it's unreasonable at all to try and keep the spot. Like you gotta do what you gotta do. Like it's
It's like,
you
yeah,
know,
we're
you can't
homies, but come on, bro. Like this is the NBA we talking about.
that would be
This is bigger than us, bro.
that shit sounds like a good plot for a movie though. Like
It does.
a movie.
This one EJ tells me, yeah, I just saw it last night.
Nah, I ain't see it.
Because like the conflict between the two would be very interesting to see. Because both sides would have a point. He's like, yo, like I can't give it the spot. This is my chance. He's like, really? It was my chance too.
You only hit because I got hurt. You only hit because I got hurt.
It was like you shouldn't have gotten hurt, nigga. Clearly you ain't make it. I don't know what to tell you, bro.
The other characters, like, you didn't beat me out for my spot. You had to get him because of an injury.
I mean, like, all right, how about that then? Like, you just gotta play a game for it. You gotta play for it. You really want me to beat you for it? I'll beat you for it.
He said, "You only gonna feel good the rest of your life knowing that you only got out from under me because of an injury."
Oh
yeah, now if someone said shit like that to me, I'd have to fight him.
That's a good line.
I'd have to fight him.
The other guy looks at him and goes, "I don't give a fuck about you. I don't give a fuck about this team. I don't give a fuck about myself. So what make you think I'm gonna give up my decision for you?"
Nah. Real talk though, if someone says some shit like that, you only got this spot because I got hurt. Woo! I'd be like, all right, see me on the court.
I feel like I've heard a line like that in a movie, and that's what happened. It ruined their friendship. I feel like I remember a line like that exactly, where the character said something like that. Like the only reason you anything is because of me. It was some shit.
Yeah, no, I feel like that's happened in several movies.
Yeah, you remember.
People give them credit for your success all the time, like.
Yeah. Like if I could
I feel like it was some Disney Channel movie where like some friend did something, and then like, I think I remember. It was like they changed the answers to some test. What movie was that?
That does sound familiar.
Yo, what movie?
I seen a movie like that with I think it was a Disney Channel movie. The one with forgot his name. The guy that plays Chris and everybody hates Chris, and he was like ghost writing for this guy that was the rapper.
Oh yeah, that was a different movie where he's a rapper.
Yeah, he's a rapper. But he's getting all the fame.
It was a more current one, but I'm talking about an older one. Like this guy, he saw his friend's test answers, so he switched them with his because he saw his friend was gonna fail the test.
Another movie like that. Remember that Nick Cannon movie where the girl made him popular?
Now I gotta find this movie.
You guys remember that movie? The Nick Cannon movie where the girl gave him a makeover to make him popular?
I forget the name of it.
Yeah, it was something just like that, where she was like, "You're only cool now because of me." And I think he did get hurt when she said that shit. Like you weren't a nobody before. She said like you were a loser. Yeah. So, oh my god, like, I don't give a fuck about you. I don't give a fuck about this team. I don't give a fuck about myself.
Now that one-on-one is gonna be so intense though. After he just said that to you, just like, oh what?
Fucking injure him again.
Lace up right now.
Fucking injure him again.
He said, "You want my spot? You want my spot?"
Yeah, speaking of black entertainment, I can see that as a good like black entertainment with two.
The consequences are both like severe.
Yeah.
For the two characters, because on the one hand, if you give up your spot, right? Let's say you don't make it to the league, you're gonna be like, damn, my whole life I've been dreaming towards making it, and I gave it up because I wanted to be loyal to my mans.
Even that is an interesting concept. Because
I wanted to be loyal to my mans, and I could have made it and got my family out. You know,
like let's say you decided to, let's say this could even work as a sequel. But let's say you have the original movie where it's like they're at each other's throats because he's like, you took my spot, and he's like, well, what do you want me to do? Like, I gotta do what I gotta do. But then that could be another interesting movie where it's like let's say he makes the decision to give the spot back, and now he's an older man looking back at his glory days, wondering what would have happened if he held on to it. That would be a cool ass movie too.
It's like you regret. It's like you regret making that decision because
bro.
you didn't get the success.
How would you feel if you give back the spot and he still don't make it? Like you give back the spot and he say he fumbles on the your final, like the final thing, like the fucking NBA scouts is watching. He's choking, bro.
What if you hold on to it and you fumble?
You both fumble. Okay, no. You fumble it. He walks up to you. He's like, "See, that's what I was trying to tell you." He's like,
You wasn't made for the spotlight. You wasn't made for this.
Damn.
Imagine how if that happened to me, I fumble it, I lose. He walks up to me. He's like, "See, that's exactly what I was telling you."
Now you just cost your friendship.
He's like, "You would have been nothing if I." He's like, "That's exactly what I was trying to tell you."
It cost your friendship and your man's success, bro.
He's like, he's like, the only reason you became something was because I was injured. My heart, I'd be like,
nah, we have to start scrapping now. Like you just, I'm already down, and then you decide to kick me too. Now we're gonna have to fight.
I'm not fighting him. Are you serious?
Fight, bro. I know I'd lose that fight. I'd lose that fight morally, but I'd have to do it.
What if you lose the fight?
You definitely gonna lose the fight. You gonna lose the fight. Morally, you have to lose the fight.
Oh my god! But damn. Now there's something
where you gonna drop his gym bag and put the man in the head. Like, what's all that shit you was talking? What's all that shit he was talking?
Imagine you try to put him in the headlock. He's like, "Really, nigga? You can't even play the game." He just flips you. It's like, fuck, you thought this was. But anyways, you guys ever seen that episode of South Park with the hockey when it was like Stan was like a coach, and the whole thing is like making it like this what's those movie called again? Inspirational kind of thing, and then they play the team.
Like the Mighty Ducks.
It's a bunch of little kids. They play the fucking adults, and the adults beat the shit out of them and win the game.
Yeah,
remember,
I think I've seen that clip at least.
The other team wins, and then the guy who was in the hospital, he's watching, and he's like, "Oh fuck," and he just dies. That's what that reminded me of.
Wasn't it a parody of the Mighty Ducks or something?
Yes, and they lose. That's what that reminded me of. You spend the whole you hold back, you get into all that argument, and then you just lose. You lose everything.
It would be the situation would make more sense if it was football. Like, let's say both of y'all were quarterbacks, because there could only be one quarterback on the field. Because you were asking about positions. Yeah. So let's say it was that. That'd be crazy. And then how do you even have a one-on-one? You can't even have a one-on-one with that.
All I say is one man must never wonder about the next man's position.
Thanks.
No, but anyways, you know what? Even that concept can be interesting, right? So you hold on to the spot, and then you lose. Now, years later, like, let's say you and the guy still live in the same town. So every time he sees you, he's still like heated about the fact that you took his opportunity and blew it. So you guys are always at each other's throats.
But at that point, if you fumble, the coach is just gonna step in. Oh nah, like I left it up to you because you were nice, bro.
I was saying you fumble at the last line, bro. Like there's nothing else. Like you're both are done. There's no chance for either of you now.
Okay.
Like the NBA scouts were here this game. Like this was the game. This was the finals, and you dropped the ball. Like you literally just.
Yep. And then it was like, yeah.
And like I know that's not exactly how it works, right? Because like you could still have like a really good performance but still lose the game. But I mean, like you didn't even perform that well.
You sucked.
It was like one of those televised games too. A lot of people were tuning in.
Your mom at home, she was cheering for you at the by the second half of the game. They're not even watching this shit.
You get a text. You get a text from your mom. Don't even come home.
That's a text you get from your dad, bro. He's like,
your dad is like, remember yesterday when I told you I love you? I take it back.
Not even. He sent it on Messenger, so he unsent it, bro.
If you take the spot and you make it though, right? Like you come into a windfall of cash, or like are you giving your man's a portion or like?
It really it depends on his attitude, bro. Like if he's constantly up my ass, bro, no. Like if he was cool about it, yeah, it really depends.
See, but isn't it more disrespectful to give him like chump change or like a portion of it?
Well, it's more of the idea is like if I make it, my homies make it too.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like, all right, thanks for your position. Here's $5K and like never talk to you again.
You got to shower other people in money too, so that it doesn't seem like it's just for him, so he can feel better about himself.
But like I said, if I make it, my homies make it. You know,
nice.
Yeah, I'll probably buy him a condo or something. Get over it.
You buy him an ice pack for his leg.
you buy him a fucking condo and he's homeless because he couldn't pay for it. Like what are you talking about? You buy him a condo.
Oh, a condo is like an apartment that you own, like so.
You can own a condo though.
Yeah, like
yeah.
So right. He'd still have to pay the property tax, but like that is not as expensive as just buying the fucking condo.
Jesus. Oh, that'd be so funny though. He's like, that's exactly what I was trying to tell you. You was nothing without me. Last thing he says to you, just walks away.
He turned into that bishop, bro.
Oh man. I don't give a fuck about you. I don't give a fuck about this team. I don't give a fuck about myself. And now
I don't give a fuck about coach. I don't give a fuck.
Matter of fact, I don't even give a fuck about this sport.
I don't give a fuck about this school. So make it. You like, damn, bro. Care about nobody. Yourself.
He's like, you know what? As a matter of fact, you should read my book, 1,000 Things I Don't Give a Fuck About. It's coming out next month. Oh man.
True colors, man.
Oh God. Anyways, it's been real. Catch you same bad place, same bad time. I don't give a fuck about y'all.